but I had a crazy, terrible, scary, but maybe genius idea. Could I do it all in 5 days? I don't know. I think we're gonna try it. We're gonna see if I can.
It is finally the first week of September, so it is time to continue on to part 2 of me trying to make a fall capsule wardrobe in 7 days. Now, this is part 2, so if you haven't happened to watch part 1, I would highly recommend going back and watching that. Last time I worked on a drop waist dress and an 18th century inspired bodice. I also just explain my plans and what I'm doing in more detail so you kind of can get caught up on what I'm doing. Just as a refresher, or if you don't feel like watching part 1, here are all the designs for these pieces, and in this video I'll be tackling the orange historically inspired blouse, the tie front apron, and a slip dress from the Etsy store Studio Sato. Okay, let's start on the blouse, which happened back on day 3. So I thrifted this blouse a while ago and the shape is just not what I would want. So we're going to add a bunch of elastic to keep it comfy, but give it a lot more shape. First, I marked on the sleeves where the elastic should go in as straight of a line as I possibly could all the way around. I really just eyeballed the placement here. I then cut out 4 lengths of elastic that were the circumference of my upper arm and 2 that were the size of my lower arm, towards my elbow. So that will be 2 elastics on each upper arm and 1 at each forearm. I was originally planning on doing the same thing for the waist, but if you've been watching me for any amount of time, you probably know my love for shirring, and my elastic thread was calling me. So I just did a bunch of shirring at the waist, starting right under my bust and ending right before where my hips start. If you haven't watched my tutorial on shirring, I'll link that above if you want to learn more. For dinner this week, I am very much already in the fall mood, if you can't tell, so butternut squash soup it is.
You do not have to be good. Even the best of us have been misunderstood. So get up on your feet. The sun is shining, repentance through the night. Its rays will wash you clean. I'm walking slowly, I'm taking my time. All I like are talking is starting to rhyme. Letting go of lonely, letting go of strife. I just can't get enough of this beautiful life. I just can't get enough of this beautiful life. You do not have to be known. Even the best of us have sometimes felt alone. This whole world is your home, so reach out your branches, lay your roots back to the soil, and watch the rain. I'm walking slowly, I'm taking my time. All I like is talking is starting to rhyme. I'm letting go of lonely, letting go of strife. just can't get enough of this beautiful life. I just can't get enough of this beautiful life. Oh, you look so amazing. Your hair, it drives me crazy. Dreaming of God on a sandy shore. Saved by amazing grace, or maybe my lack of faith. The seasons change, but they come back the same. They'll wash you clean with their rain. I'm walking slowly, I'm taking my time. All our lack of talking is starting to rhyme. I'm letting go of lonely, letting go of strife. I just can't get enough of this beautiful life. I just can't get enough of this beautiful life. Oh, give me all you can of this beautiful life.
Can I start at a good time to get a full day of sewing in? No, I apparently cannot. The reason why I did not get an early start today was because yesterday I intended to cut out all the pattern pieces at night so that I'd be ready today, and I got too tired. So as I possibly mentioned before this point, this dress that I'm going to be making is a pattern called the Foxglove Slip by Studio Sado. They're an Etsy store. I'll link them below. I'll link the dress below. So I'm not going to be kind of giving you step-by-steps on this one. I would want you guys to support the Etsy seller if you could. You guys are just gonna kind of watch me sew for the next few minutes. Just an enjoyable aesthetic sewing vlog. But what I will show you is the fabric that I'm going to use because it's so exciting. First up is the main body, which is this beautiful brown, orange, and red floral fabric. I'll get up real nice and close for you. Look at that. That's beautiful. I just feel like this gives off such strong fall vibes while still being a floral. This is apparently a real vintage piece of rayon fabric. This is rayon from the 80s, which is very cool. I've never bought like actual vintage fabric before, I don't think. Because I can't just leave well enough alone and make the entire dress out of this, which I think I could. I think there's enough of this, but that's not good enough for me. So I bought two more things. I bought this skirt, which I thought might be cute just as it is. It's a little bit large for me around my waist, but like it fits okay. But honestly, my dream was that if it didn't fit like a glove, which it doesn't, then I was going to make the bottom, the like bottom ruffle on this dress, and I think it'll be perfect. I already kind of placed the pattern piece on top of this. I tested the pattern piece on it, and I think it's going to be pretty perfect. I think it's all gonna fit. So this, and then I don't know if I'll be able to cut out the flutter sleeve on that. So if I can't, I also just bought this like cottony tablecloth in a red that goes along. I'll show you how they all look together. I just think that's so pretty. Isn't that cool? I'm definitely not scared at all of working on this because it's a little complicated. I have also not been procrastinating at all. So let's get started now.
I've only cut a project on the bias once before, and that was all the way back in college, but cutting on the bias is usually what makes slip dresses fit so well. And this is one of those moments that I'm happy I have my chunky ruler. I feel like this is one of those instances where it would be much harder without it. Then I cut out the flutter sleeves on the red fabric, and I had to leave in some of that white stitching, but honestly, I thought that looked kind of cool. Now, as I said before, I laid out that bottom skirt piece on this thrifted skirt, and I thought it would work, but I was actually one short. So I decided to do 2 in the brown skirt fabric and 2 on that red table runner, and the dress would end up looking even more eclectic than originally intended. This is one of those things that happens when you thrift your fabric. You gotta just roll with the punches sometimes. since I don't want to get too in-depth on the step-by-step on this pattern, simply because I bought this from a small business instead of like Simplicity or Butterick. So while I'm sewing, I'll talk about the fall and Halloween shows I watched that day while working. When I am desperately trying to hold off on watching my yearly rewatches like Practical Magic or Hocus Pocus too early in the year, I start by trying out some new shows. First on the list was one of those newer Mickey Mouse short animations. Artists and animators have been recommending the new Mickey Mouse short films because the animation style is really good. So I thought I'd finally give it a try with the Halloween special. This one is called The Scariest Story Ever, and all of the animation buffs were not wrong because this was absolutely beautiful, especially the parts that were emulating old black and white films and 1950s animation. I was so impressed and I cannot wait to watch more. Next, I moved on to a yearly rewatch for me, and staying on the animation kick, I watched Ichabod Crane, a Disney Halloween classic in my opinion. I'm a big fan of hand-drawn animation, and I get that it's expensive and time extensive, but in my opinion, it's so worth it. It just has so much more soul. And this one in particular just happens to also give off perfect spooky vibes without being scary. One thing I will say about this pattern is it does say online that it is an intermediate to advanced pattern, and I have to agree with that. The basic silhouette is pretty simple, but the style lines have a lot of twists and turns, and you really got to stay vigilant when sewing and know how to sew a lot of wavy lines. Just keep that in mind if you're thinking of purchasing this pattern. A couple people in my comments on the last video said they were interested to hear my thoughts, so I just wanted to give a basic overview. I will say though, generally I really enjoyed sewing this pattern. The instructions were really clear. Furthermore, for anyone who may have a similar body type to me, the two changes I made were to add just the tiniest bit more ease in every piece to make sure it would fit me, and I did have to take the shoulder seams up a good amount for my shorter waist. But honestly, I can't wait to sew with this pattern again, and I think I have the best fabric for it to do another version in the spring. I ended the day watching Tuck Everlasting, and I know this may come as a surprise, but I've never seen this before. The vibes for this movie are perfect for the end of summer, but I don't know if I'll ever watch it again. I wasn't in love with it, but overall, it's always fun to watch a classic that you've just haven't watched and has been on your list for a while. My mom had been craving Fig Newtons for the longest time, and even though they aren't my favorite, I wanted to see if making them at home would make them any better, so I tried my hand at it. This was definitely not an easy recipe, and I don't think the final result was good enough to be worth how time intensive it was, but I did still have fun trying something completely new.
Day 5. So I got a good amount done. I turned it inside out like a silly Billy. Hold on. I am this far on the dress. It is looking so pretty. At first I was not sure how I was going to feel about these like two different, I don't know how to show you in the best way, two different sections, but honestly I've been wanting like patchwork dresses, and I've been wanting to make like a patchwork dress, and this gives those vibes. So I think I like it. I have a couple of funky things because there's a lot of twists and turns here on the bottom, so I'm gonna go back in and correct those. But other than that, what I have to do today is do the sleeves, finish off the hem, and then I should be done, and then I can start on the apron. But I had a crazy, terrible, scary, but maybe genius idea, which is, can I get everything done today? I'm not gonna pressure myself too much. If I can't get it done, who cares? But could I do it all in 5 days? I don't know. I think we're gonna try it. We're gonna see if I can. We're gonna work. I started a little earlier than I normally have, which is not very early, but it is earlier. So let's see.
For finishing off the neckline, I used single fold bias tape. Sometimes I like to just self-line the bodice, but I was afraid with such an interesting pattern that might make it look a bit strange or pull weirdly, and this ended up working perfectly. I also tried adding some to the sleeves, but it ended up looking bad and just made the sleeves stick out really weird, so I took it out and turned under the edges twice instead.
Okay, on to the last project, which is a I do that every time. A thrift flip of this dress, which I just don't really wear. I tried over last winter to not change it and just leave it as it is, because these little, I don't know, what are these? Like applique embroidery details are just so pretty. I didn't want to mess with it. But I think I only wore it once or twice, and both times I wore it, I just feel like I couldn't style it the way that I wanted to. And I just think that this would make a really pretty apron. So here's what we're gonna do. We have this waist, which is what I wanted. I didn't remember it having a waist, so I'm glad it does. I'm going to cut off the bottom. We'll see if I can reapply it somewhere else. We're kind of going off the cuff with this one. So we're gonna cut that off to where it's more of like a mid-thigh length. We're gonna take off the sleeves, and then we're gonna cut it down the center back so that it ties, but it opens at the back. And then we'll go on from there, because I'm not sure what to do after that, or what I want to do after that. Let's go.
So I tried the dress on and estimated the length I wanted it to be, but this time my eyes were wrong because it ended up being much shorter than I intended, but you'll see in a bit why that actually worked out. I trimmed out the sleeves and then returned to the cut off hem. I cut that in half because I decided that would make a cute little ruffle at the bottom, and it would also save that beautiful floral work that I wanted to save. I then used my gathering trick, the first step being to cut out a length of elastic measuring the dress's shorter hem. So all the pieces I had at this point was a shorter dress with the back seam cut out, elastic, the ties I saved, and the new ruffle. At the back that I cut out, I made a slight V towards the back neckline so that it wouldn't flap open, and double turned all that over to finish the seams. Then I continued on with the ruffle, using a zigzag stitch to tack the elastic down as I gently pulled to slightly gather it to the width of the new hem of the dress. I then attached this ruffle to the bottom of the dress. I reattached the ties at center back, and this dress is now an apron. And I cannot believe it that I finished all 5 of these projects in 5 days. And here is the final result of the last 3 pieces. Okay, let's break all these pieces down. I think the orange top is pretty cute, but I think the best way to style it would be under a corset or a boned bodice in this case. I think these 2 pieces go really well together when the bodice doesn't have its sleeves, and the 2-sided stomacher is super cute. I do wish I made the stomacher slightly wider, and I think I might just go ahead and attach it to the bodice. Next is the gorgeous slip dress. I think this turned out so cute and unique. I really love it. The only thing I would change is I would make it slightly shorter, but I had no idea how long this was going to be on me going into it, so like that's no one's fault. But I think I will make my next one a bit shorter. Lastly are the 2 pieces that I think I will wear the most. First is the drop waist dress. This one was really a gamble, so I cannot believe how much I like it. I think the silhouette is unique, but the fabric is so perfectly fall. Now, this might be controversial, but I wanted one more way to wear the apron, and I thought if I turned it around, it could be like a cute little overdress, and I really like it. Again, it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I think it kind of gives off historical vibes. I will also wear this apron all the time. I think it might be my favorite thing that I made out of everything.
I did want to hop on here real quickly at the end just to thank you all. This channel has hit 5K subscribers. Thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed. A couple of weeks from now, I will be doing a Q&A video as requested. I have a community post that I've linked below where you can put your questions if you would like to ask. So many people have already asked questions. Thank you so much. I am a very private person, so some answers I might find a little too personal. It does not mean they're bad questions. It just means that I'm an incredibly private person. Yeah, that'll be a couple weeks from now. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe. I have so much fall content coming up. I have styling videos, more sewing videos, some costume design videos. I'm just so excited for this season. Also, like and comment if you want to. It really helps me out. I hope you guys had a good time watching and hope to see you back here next time. Bye.